Hello, you mute your mic already.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm good. How are you?
I'm also great.
I'm not sure how many people joined today.
Hmm. Have you attended any other webinar before?
Oh, we have two guests.
Hmm.
We have Brandon
Let's wait.
and Henrik.
Hello,
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm Maria.
Yeah, we have
Welcome.
Simon. We have Simon here as well. Uh-huh. So now we have.
Hello, everybody. How you're happy to see me. Oh, you forgot. Just me. That's pretty nice.
Where your camera, Simon? Okay. So we can wait a few more minutes, or maybe a few more people joining. How many in total last time in your webinar, Simon?
I think I had two people watching me. Maybe just one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so now I have two
And
already.
and that one person was you. So yeah.
Yeah, now I have the same. Hello, Brandon. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. I wish you guys good luck on your webinar.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you here.
Yeah, I'm glad I could come and stop by. I don't think I'm gonna stay for the whole thing, but I will catch the recording.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just listen as long as you're free. Then when you have something to do, then just feel free to leave. But just want to let you know that we appreciate that you're joining our conversation, our webinar. We will wait until 6 part 5. So then we'll start. Are you ready, Maria?
Yes.
Okay. How about Ria?
Yes.
It's great. So Maria, you have another Maria. Is your twins or
Yes. That is Santiago. He's using my laptop.
okay? Yeah, so we have another one audience.
laptop.
Okay, now it's file ready. So I think we can start now. If anyone join later, they can go like they can join later on. So okay. Anyone can see my screen now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so welcome everyone to our webinar. So our topic is evaluating what you read and research. First of all, I would like to introduce our team member. My name is Hieu. I'm come from Vietnam. Then two pretty ladies are Maria and Ria. They come from Ecuador and India. So this is presentation structure. So we will start with why evaluation is matter. Then next is information criteria when evaluating information. The resource source type, fact checking, logical fallacies, so and resources, and the last one will be like practical application. So to start for the question, why evaluation is matter. So I bring the one example. So each breakfast is most important meal. I think that this case I and Simon we're talking about this few times already. However, actually, this story around 12 years ago when I went to school without breakfast. But one day my mom she heard about somewhere that breakfast is the most important meal in the day. Then she started feeding me the breakfast. Then I read some the same piece information somewhere. Then I start believe about this, and until now I'm still having breakfast every day. So it's kind of like that's crazy. However, if you think if we think we researched closely into this one, we figured out that is actually just a marketing campaigns by the General Food Company. They are selling this. They want to sell more cereal. Then the campaign title in mean name is "Eat Good Breakfast and Do a Better Job." So that is founded by Dr. John Harvey and his brother, just because they want to market cereal as the health foods. However, the research today, they show that there are no correlation between breakfast and health improvement. Even they do some examination and examining in few few school and with the recording for the kids weight management and performance in school. They also cannot find any correlation between breakfast and their the results at advertising campaign in blind. So through this example, we can answer for a question why, a part of question why we need to evaluate the information before we trust that. Don't same as me like this story. However, if we think about why evolution is matter, so I have a question for everyone. That's the last time you saw or read the fake news, what industry was this about? Is it healthcare, politics, election, finance, or investment, social media, or new medias? Can you type on the task box so we can see what kind of news, what kind of industry you usually or the last time you read the fake news is about? Okay, see the new. Ryan, politics. How about Simon? Healthcare. Interesting. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this later for sure. How about Santiago? What is the last time you saw the fake news? Okay, so we can as my research, this kind of five field or five industry, we usually um we read the fake news on a lot of social platform or then even the um low credit newspaper. So this is some statistic to show that in the 60% of adults encounter the fake news in 2021. That survey is made by Statista. Then 70% false political stories spread 70% faster than the true ones, and that if influencing elections in 2018. So 40% of people encountering false healthcare info during COVID-19 that lead to confusion and vaccinate hesitancy in 2020. And 30% UK investor encountered misleading investment advice, and 8% of them they respond by investment based on unverified online sources. So this is kind of like the new what we read every day. So how about the scientific information or scientific article? So the funny is, and surprisingly, is 40% published study may have methodological flaws or a low scientific rigors, and 30% scientific article contain serious errors or like proper peer review before publication, and 40% health related research published in top journals, so inconsistent results in 2020. So I think after we go through from the story to the daily news and scientific information article, so we can answer a part of or the majority of the question why evaluation is matter. So that is also the main message we want to convey during this conversation and presentation. The next part will be what you can use and what the tool, resources, and practical we can use to evaluate information. Yeah. So we talk about evaluating information. So what exactly we have to evaluate? What criteria we should considering, or we have to checking before we use and trust one information. So first criteria will be accuracy and verifying fact and checking for errors. Authority, assessing the credibility of the author. And the next one, objectivity, identifying bias, distinguishing opinion from the fact. The fourth, coverage, ensuring completeness and depth of information. And the last one, accuracy, checking publication dates and relevant to current knowledge. So this is 5 elements, criteria we suggest everyone to check before you use and believe one news or even the scientific information. So next part, I would like to hand off to Ria for next part. I already allow you to navigate that. So please go ahead, Ria.
Hugh, could you please move the slide? I'm unable to access the link. Yeah, thank you so much. Now, I'll be talking about how to evaluate the different types of sources, and I've discussed the key few factors to consider. Like, for example, evaluating books and academic papers, we could check the peer review, the publisher reputation, author credentials. Like academic papers published in journals undergo the peer review, where experts in the field evaluate the research for accuracy and credibility. So always check if the paper is peer reviewed or not. Books from the reputable universities and academic publishers like Oxford or Cambridge are more reliable than the self-published works. And the author's qualification, expertise, and institutional affiliation also help in determining the credibility. Now, similarly, for evaluating the websites and online articles, domain credibility is very important. Now, websites ending in .gov, .edu, .org, that is government, educational institution, and non-profits, respectively, tend to be more reliable than the commercial websites, that is for .com. And identify if the website aims to inform, sell, or entertain. Like commercial websites have biases because of financial incentives. Credible websites provide author details and also cite their sources. Now, for social media and blogs, we could check the personal bias. Now, many social media posts and blogs reflect the personal opinions rather than the objective facts. So, check for the financial incentives whether the company is having or not. The false information spreads quickly on social media related to the politics, healthcare, etc. So, always cross-check with the authoritative sources. For the news sources, we could do the cross-verification. Now, compare the same news with reputable news sources to spot the inconsistencies. Now, always distinguish between the opinion pieces and factual reporting, because editorials of the newspapers often contain the personal perspectives of the writers. For the ownership and bias, it is very important to recognize the ownership and potential political, ideological leanings of a news organization as well. Now, Maria will explain further.
Okay, so now we have the fact-checking and verification techniques. The first one is the cross-reference to multiple sources. This is one of the most reliable methods to verify a piece of information, which consists of comparing a topic across various credible sources. So if a claim appears consistently in respected publications, for example, like academic journals, government websites, or major news organizations, it is more likely to be accurate. On the other hand, if it only appears in like anonymous blogs or social media posts without references, it should be questioned. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so now we have the using of fact-checking websites. Several professionals organizations are dedicated to identify and also to debunk false claims. For example, Snopes, Fact Check Organization, and BBC Reality Check. These are trustworthy platforms that investigate misinformation, political statements, and also internet rumors. So these websites provide evidence-based explanations and also cite original sources to either confirm or debunk the claims. These are essentially useful when we're trying to deal with fast-spreading news or controversial topics with lack of clarity. Now you go on to the next one, please. Okay, now we have checking citations and references. So a credible article or paper should always cite where its information comes from. So as critical thinkers, we must follow the citations to their original sources and also to assess whether they have been accurately represented. And if a source is misquoted, it means like taken out of context or comes from a biased or unreliable publication, the credibility of the claim decreases significantly. So verifying references help us to avoid spreading this kind of misinformation ourselves and strengthen out the quality of our own work.
Evaluating information, it is very important to recognize the logical fallacies, which are basically the flaws in reasoning, and cognitive biases, which can distort the judgment. So these issues can make an argument seem convincing even when it lacks the factual accuracy. The first one is the strawman fallacy. So when misrepresenting or oversimplifying someone's argument to make it easier to attack. Now, why it is misleading? Because the argument exaggerates and distorts the first argument and making it look extreme. The second one is the false dilemma, which is also known as black and white thinking, where presenting only to the two extreme choices. In reality, there are multiple options. For example, if you say you're either with us or you're against us, it is misleading because it is ignoring the middle ground solutions and alternative perspectives. The third one is the ad hominem. So attacking the person making the argument instead of addressing the argument itself. You're basically attacking the person and not the argument. It is misleading, and the validity of an argument does not depend on the personal background of the speaker, and it should depend upon the argument. The fourth one is the appeal to authority. So assuming that something is true just because an authority figure or a political leader or expert said it without considering the evidence. It is misleading, and even experts can be wrong. Arguments should be based on the data and logic and not just the reputation. The fifth one is a slippery slope, which suggests that one small step will inevitably lead to a chain of extreme and unlikely events. So in this fallacy, basically we assume the extreme consequences without having the concrete evidences. Next slide, please. So biases are very common in research writing, and these are the psychological tendencies that where people can interpret information in a way that it supports the existing belief structure of the people. The first one is the confirmation bias, in which we have tendency to seek and remember information that confirms the belief that we already have, and we could overcome it by active listening and opposing views and evaluating them fairly. The second one is the authority bias, in which we give too much weight to opinions from authority figures, even when they lack the expertise in the subject. So always check if the authority figure actually has the relevant expertise. Now, for example, any famous actor said that the product is best, so I will buy it. Now, you have to do the research why the product is best. The third one is the anchoring bias, in which we rely too much on the first piece of information while making the decisions. Now, always compare multiple sources before making any judgments. Now, fourth one is the availability heuristic, in which we judge the likelihood of an event based on how easily examples come to mind. Now, look at the actual data instead of relying on the personal experiences and the media reports. Next, please. So when assessing the credibility of the research, tools and resources are very important to verify the accuracy, detect the plagiarism, and grammar checking tools are very important. These tools fall in three categories. The first one is the citation index and the library sources. So library sources are basically provide the peer-reviewed sources for research. Unlike the general search engines, these databases contain the scholar items. For example, the academic database, Google Scholar, Scopus, Web of Science. The second one is the citation index. Examples are Google Scholar Citation, Web of Science, Scopus, similarly, which track the references in the academic papers to measure their influence. And basically, it tells how much a research paper is widely recognized and trusted in the field. Next, please. Now, plagiarism is a major concern in academic writing, and various tools help in detecting the improper citation or even self-plagiarism. Turnitin, Grammarly, basically are used by the universities and academic scholars to detect the plagiarism. And it compares the submitted work with the vast database of the academic papers. Unicheck and Copyscape are few examples of, we can maintain the academic integrity and ensure the attribution of the ideas. The third one is the fact-checking and verification platforms, which help in checking the accuracy and credibility of the research websites. Fact-checking websites like Snopes, BBC Reality Check, and reverse image research tools like Google Reverse Image and TinyEye can help in tracking the origin of the images and checks for the modifications. Next, please.
So now we have the practical application. So before analyzing a text, it's essential to follow a structured approach that ensures accuracy, credibility, and relevance. So here's how we can apply that practically. In the first step, we have to identify the source and the author's credentials. So we have to begin by looking at who wrote the article and who published it. Is the author an expert in the field? Do they have academic credentials or institutional affiliations? Also, we have to evaluate the publisher. We have to question ourselves if the text is published in a peer-reviewed journal or in an academic press, because reliable publishers use editorial review processes that filter out low quality or biased content. Can you go to the next one, please? Okay, the step number 2 is to check the currency of the source. For this, you have to ask yourself, when was this published? In fast-moving fields, for example, like medicine, science, or technology, older sources may be outdated and less useful. But in other areas, for example, history, philosophy, foundational works can remain relevant over the time. So the key here is to balance older foundational sources with recent research that reflects the current developments or debates. Can you go in the next one, please? So the step number 3 is to evaluate relevance to our topic. Even a well-written or a scholar article might not be the best if it doesn't really support our research questions. So we have to check whether the content addresses the themes or concepts that are central into our study. Can you go into the next one, please? So here we have the step number 4, which is assess purpose or bias. For this, we have to understand that every source is created for a reason. It can be for informing, persuading, promoting, or entertainment. For example, an objective academic paper aims to contribute to scholar knowledge, while a news article or a corporate report might reflect a specific agenda. So we have to pay attention to any kind of funding, sponsorships, or affiliations that could influence the author's perspective. So bias doesn't necessarily invalidate a source, but it is important to identify it and balance it with alternative viewpoints. Can you go on to the next one, please? Okay, the step number 5 is to check for accuracy and also supporting evidence. So credible sources support their arguments with data, examples, and also citations. So as you read, you have to ask yourself, are these claims backed with evidence? Does the source references other scholar work? So we always have to cross-check the key data or statements with other trusted sources in order to verify the accuracy. Can you go to the next one, please? Okay, so now we have the step number 6, which is evaluating the depth and also the coverage. So for here, we have to ask ourselves, Does the article offer a superficial overview or a deep analytical discussion? Does the high quality sources provide a deep analysis? So it has to show like difficult, multiple perspectives and also critical thinking. For example, a peer-reviewed article that includes data analysis and theoretical framework will add more value into the work than a short opinion piece. Can you go to the next one, please? Okay, now we have the step 7 and 8. The first one is to review the language and the tone. We have to watch out for emotive or sensational terms, which may be like a signal of a bias. So a scholar work typically maintains a formal and also balanced tone, which presents arguments based on evidence and not emotion. Also, we have to consider the intended audience. For this, we have to ask ourselves if the article is written for scholars, professionals, or maybe a general public. Because normally, academic sources target researchers or students, and these often include technical language and references. In contrast, sources written for the general public may not use complex words and are more prone to generalizations or bias. Can you go to the next one, please? Okay, now we're gonna review a sample text by its structure. Then we have the step number 1, which is identify source and author's credentials. So the name of this article is Effects of Sustainable Culture and a Company's Social Responsibility and Financial Performance in the Manufacturing Industry. So as we see here, the article is published in Retos, which is la Revista de Ciencias de la Administración y Economía, which is a peer-reviewed academic journal based in Ecuador. So as we can see, both authors are professors in the Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes in Mexico, and they have clearly stated their ORCID profiles, which indicates the academic credibility. So this confirms that this article has the authority and the credibility of the publisher. Yeah, can we go to the next one, please? The next one is the cross-check the claims with other sources. So here, the authors claim that sustainable culture possibly influenced corporate social responsibility and financial performance in manufacturing firms. So all these claims are supported by empirical data and different multiple citations, as you can see there, by Stromborn and also Penn. And also they have done cross-check against existing literature in similar conclusions we can see that are found, and also they reinforce the article's validity using the PLS SEM model. So here we can check that the claims are consistent with other findings. Can you go? Okay, no. So now we have to examine the language. So here we can see that the language is academic, formal, and objective. It also avoids emotional or persuasive tones and relies on heavily data, citations, and also statistical analysis. Here we can see that there's no use of emotional or exaggerated language, which is very appropriate for this kind of work. So here we can confirm that the language is neutral and also professional. Also, we have to check for the missing context or cherry-pick data. So before doing this step, I had to do a quick review about the article, and this study shows up that as a summary, that a sustainable culture in Mexican manufacturing companies possibly influences both corporate social responsibility and financial performance. And for them, this topic has directly positive effect on financial performance and also acts as a mediating variable between sustainable culture and financial outcomes. So this research is based on a sample of 300 companies and applies a structural equation modeling to validate this kind of relationships. So this article provides a balanced discussion, and it also acknowledges debates in literature and identifies limitations in this research. So here we can confirm that this context is comprehensive and transparent.
Okay. Okay, so that is almost our presentation. So in conclude our whole content, so we propose 3 main point for about the topic evaluating what you read and research. First of all, always verify the information before accepting it as a truth and use. Another one is use multiple resources as sources and tools to confirm the information. And the last one will be aware the bias both in the source and in personal perspective. So thank you so much for your attention. So I think we just have few minutes left. So if it's run out of time, then it's closed automatically. So please do not surprise about that, but welcome for the question for the topic.
No questions, but thank you for presenting. And you have 5 minutes left, just to let you know.
Yeah, actually, we have few quiz, but kind of like we afraid that it's not enough time to do that. So it's kind of like it's better to stop now. So yeah, I think that is successful presentation.
Yeah. Otherwise, you have the timing on the top of the screen. If you like go out of full screen mode, there's a timer on the top.
Yeah, true. It have 4 minutes. Now we have 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Good.
So okay, if there are no any question,
How about you, Hugh?
sorry.
The last fake news you've read.
Last new I
Tell me
read.
what's the last fake news.
Okay,
Yeah.
last new I read about one actor in Vietnam. In Vietnam, he's still alive, but in Facebook it showed that he died because cancer a few days ago. That's such crazy. That a damn thing, and that is crazy thing. How about your healthcare story? What you mentioned it.
Yeah, you know, the usual. They're trying to take my meat away. That ain't gonna happen. But it's always the same. Hey, you know what my best advice would be to avoid fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't consume any content. And that's it. Boom, easy.
But it's around everywhere though. Mm, not only like what you read and research, actually it should be like everything we heard. Even
Yeah, but
yeah.
don't listen to anybody, and you'll never have fake news.
So what about you and I? So
Hey, just use your brain. Whatever
yeah,
the thoughts come to you, that's what you do.
maybe it's a lot of information on our presentation is the fake news somehow.
Yeah, it could be.
It's not
It could be.
trustworthy though.
That would be reverse psychology.
Yeah, it is, but it's quite surprised about how many percentage of public scientific article public with methodology flaws. 40%, that is a lot. So which means that master degree or doctoral degree is also not really sure about what they public. So then when we read so many articles in school, so how could we know what is the correct and high quality or the low quality? So I remember that Marco said that, yeah, I give you the information that is kind of like general information. Then now you have a lot of data, a lot of sources you can check. Then you can learn further. But what is the, how to say, the quality in resources, quality information? So is the question, the big question.
The mystery box.
Mystery box. Yeah, sure. So okay, we can stop webinar now. I'm happy today to having you guys. Simon Kaduns. And
You're welcome.
oh, he's left. but re-announce as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.
Bye bye.
Thank
Adios.
you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.